to see the Soul Fighter in action and stick around afterward to watch the bearded badass himself, Bajira, as he gets first crack at the Soul Fighter. Alright. This was a guy live streaming the game on the Blade and Soul channel. I was playing the game with another girl. So the Soul Fighter Master Overview. So here you have a video to overview some of the Soul Fighter abilities. Then you have the rundown of the skills, the full breakdown. Okay, so let me watch this for a second, for a bit.
The Soul Fighter is a master of their inner chi, able to express their power through chilled blasts or charged fists. The Gon, the Yun, and the Jin have shown themselves to be proficient in this new martial arts form, which requires both discipline and balance in order to tame the maelstrom of their abilities. As sharp as the point of a tornado, the Soul Fighter is equally capable of close melee destruction, as managing the ranged follow, and can be as elusive to catch as the Thunderbolt. Upon entering the battle, or at any point within, a stance is chosen. The elemental stance calls upon the Blizzard to summon winds, hurl ice, or focus their chi to maintain opponents beyond arm's length reach. The Kung Fu stance concentrates on keeping the opponent off balance, with greater damage applied when attacking from behind the enemy. Should an opponent attempt to retaliate, the quick Soul Fighter can dash out of harm's way and follow through with a strike of their own. With each progressive attack, the Soul Fighter stores chi. The height of this energy buildup will either unleash the ferocity of your fists to deal awesome damage, or command the storm's fury. Evoking the Kung Fu Master's control over the Force Master's elements, the Soul Fighter is a true champion of their inner chi. Interested? Play the Soul Fighter class in Blade and Soul beginning June 22nd.
Alright, really cool video about the Soul Fighter. The Soul Fighter is the second hybrid class for Blade and Soul, merging the thrust control abilities of the Force Master with the Kung Fu Master recreative and reflexive moves. Force Master, Kung Fu Master, thrust control abilities. Alright, so it's got some abilities, some of the Force Master abilities, thrust control, and some of Kung Fu Master's reactive and reflexive moves. So it looks like it's kind of a mix from of those professions, of those two professions, the Force Master and the Kung Fu Master. The Force Master for ranged spells and attacks, and the Kung Fu Master for melee attacks. So it looks like it draws from those two professions to create a hybrid class, hybrid melee and ranged class. Each set of skills is tied to an associated stance, elemental or kung fu. So, okay. And switching between stances is done manually. While not quite as complex as the Kung Fu Master, the Soul Fighter can take dedication and finesse to master. Kung Fu stance is the primary default stance. Like the Kung Fu Master, this stance works best when you can adequately react to your opponent's moves. This class boasts the greatest number of dashes, counters, so that it works a bit like the Soul, like the Kung Fu Master. This class boasts the greatest number of dashes, counters, and invulnerability skills of any other class in the game, and use of these defensive maneuvers will allow even more powerful abilities to be used. Okay, so just like the Kung Fu Master, it has a lot of defensive abilities, dashes, counters, invulnerability skills. Has more than any other class in the game. Okay, and it allows to defend yourself. Use these defensive maneuver to then cast powerful abilities. All right. Elemental stance has more range-based skills. Okay. So it's a more ranged stance. It's the ranged stance. You had the kung fu stance and for melee, and then the elemental stance for range. But with longer cooldowns as a trade-off. The strength of this stance can be seen when stacking multiple abilities onto hapless opponents and prevent their near escape. Okay, so this is a good stance with range skills to use if you want to strike enemies at a distance. Okay. Soul Fighter in play. The Soul Fighter focuses on dealing 2 types of damage. Frost and Earth. Not all skills will have an associated elemental damage, but those that do will have their damage increased with the selection of the right items. So building a focus around one of those damage types is advantageous in the long run, especially as you get to the end game dungeons. So it deals Frost and Earth damage, 2 types. Not all the skills have associated elemental damage, etc. So it says here that you probably want to focus in one of those types of damage, make your build around one of the elements only, so that you can make even more damage, especially in the end game dungeons. For solo play and questing, it's easier to stay in Kung Fu stance for the powerful and quick response to enemy attacks, switching only to elemental stance when the crowd control abilities are required. However, in a party situation, the Soul Fighter will need to juggle both stances to maximize their contribution. Unlike the Kung Fu masters, they borrow some of their martial arts style from Soul Fighters. Unlike the Kung Fu masters, they borrow some of their martial arts style from. Okay. So it says that if you are in a party in solo play or questing, you should use Kung Fu stance for the quick response and use elemental stance only for crowd control when you need it. And in party situations, you need to play with both to maximize contribution to the party. Unlike the Kung Fu masters, they borrow some of their martial arts style from. The Soul Fighters cannot generate additional threat. Despite that, their defensive abilities, so they cannot generate decoys like partner combatants like the Kung Fu master. I think the Kung Fu master probably can summon some additional threats. Despite that, their defensive abilities make them perfectly suited for solo lesser monsters, while their party members focus on taking down the boss. So fighters also have a dedicated skill for party buffs, providing resurrection, healing, or focus recovery. Okay, so you can see they're useful in a party. In arena PvP, Soul Fighter is blessed with choice, as a competent player can choose to focus on either stance to compete. A skilled Soul Fighter player will determine which stance will be the most appropriate for both of their opponent's class, and when it will be advantageous to turn the tide of the battle. Okay, so it's up to you to choose what stance you use against your enemies in the PvP arena, so choose wisely. Common combos: Lightning Fist, Elbow Smash, Rear Attack, Rising Dragon Strike, Meteor Strike, etc. Alright, so here you have a rundown of all the skills and combos for the 2 stances. Alright, common combos, PvP combos, a lot of them, a lot of skills and combos. Then you have some art, and that's it for the Soul Fighter profession and the Soul Fighter class week. Alright, that's it for the Soul Fighter patch. Okay, so just gonna launch the game and play for a bit. Maybe activate here my free 7-day premium membership and the pet, so I can redeem it in game. I can redeem those.
Yeah, this album is dedicated.